That big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Couch Conversation. It's Level 2 Gaming here. Same faces you know and love. Maybe you don't love them that much. I don't know.
You know them, hopefully.
You know them
Maybe.
at least. You got Keegan. You got me, Jordan. You got Tom.
Hi.
Tommy Kilo over there. So, kind of talked to you guys about this a little bit earlier, and we thought it would be a good couch conversation. I got Doom recently, which I like a whole lot. When I started it, though, there was a 5.5 gig install or download of a day one update.
Not disk file, update file.
Update file on top of the install that took 15 minutes on that, and then they had to like initialize everything. So like, needless to say, there was a lot of me waiting. And that kind of got me thinking like, what like there are definitely a lot of benefits to day one downloads. There are a lot of, I think, issues with day one downloads though. So like, what I think that Doom did great, just to kind of like start off the conversation, is that it still gave me the ability to play the game without having downloaded that day one. Like, so the day one patch for Doom, for anyone who's interested in that game, it fixed a lot of screen tearing issues. There was massive screen tearing without it, and it allowed for network features to be used. So when I started up Doom, it was like, hey, homie, you can play this, but you aren't going to have access to network features. And I was like,
Which is usually what it is when there's day one update.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's for online.
which is cool.
Stuff.
Like there's so many games still though that like before that day one patch is even installed, you can't play it. It's like you need to install this file.
One I remember in particular, I think we were over here trying to record it, was Tales of Zestiria. We went to go play that, and then we got to the end of the intro, and it's like, you have to wait for the download to finish. Like, oh.
Yep.
So like they had on the disc essentially, because I bought that
Tutorial.
physically, was the tutorial of it, and I was like, well, that sucks, because I mean, you're excited for the game and you want to get into it as quick as you can, and my take on it is, depending on how big the patch is and how long it takes, if it's something like that where they fix an issue that's known that will detract from your experience, I'm fine with it.
Go for it, yeah.
If it's a Tony Hawk situation, I don't know if you guys heard what happened there, but Tony Hawk had 5 gigs on the disc, and then there was a 22 gig download.
Yeah, but it still took me like 5 hours to download it, because the PS4 download speeds are the most garbage thing
I don't know.
I've ever seen
Yeah, I
in
don't
the
understand that
whole
either.
world.
It's a whole different topic.
It's their gateway
Next
system.
week on Couch Conversation.
But yeah, no, like, and I understand the benefits. Like, so think back, I guess, to like when
NES, NES,
anything like
shipped
that.
a game that was broken.
It was broken. Like you just dealt with it.
I think there was one or two games that came out on cartridge base where they actually sent out an update that you could do.
No.
Let me interject here.
Okay.
Because this is where I get angry. Why would you ship a broken game to begin with?
Well, I guess, and you're 100% right. Like, in theory, no one would ship a broken game.
But is the thing, is they're too reliant on that option now, and that's what's causing the industry to outpace itself. That's why that's where Assassin's Creed Unity comes from. It's because there's this crazy demand now for video games, especially for big franchises, and they're trying to churn out the money makers. And the problem is that there's a lot of companies out there that still go through and, verify that for everyone that's going to pick up that game, they're at least going to have a playable experience. There's no game-ending glitches. There's no screen tearing or, really frustrating bugs or glitches. The problem is that if you need a day one patch to begin with, then you released a broken game. Now, I'm fine with patches. I'm fine for things to get discovered like later.
That was my
comment. And that's totally fine. Like if you want to fix a game, but for day one, you should have figured that shit out.
So I think
you put it in a box.
There's two things that happen with that. One, you can only do so much quality assurance test in a small market. When the game gets launched big, that's when you have the issues. The other thing, like we were talking earlier, is online. You can't test the online servers a lot of times, and if a lot of the, from my experience at least, a lot of the day one patches are online based information. So Tom's phone started going off, and we're good. I got distracted.
We'll continue talking.
But no, it's one of those things where that if it's the online side of things, then I'm cool with it. Like if it's
which is true, but like the screen tearing thing, like with like Doom, it's like, is that not something that you could have play tested and figured out?
Maybe they found it last minute though.
After that information was on the disc.
Because you have to remember that they have, I think they call it the golden copy or master copy or whatever. Once the game's done, if they find something after, because they're still testing it after that. Once they find something after that, they can't change the shipped game.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it too. I mean,
Again,
I
it's
agree
rushing.
I agree
It's
with
rushing
you.
to release.
But there's two things you got to do with that though. Is remember these are businesses. They got to make their money. They got to stay on a timeline. I mean, how many games have we seen right now that have been pushed back? I mean, Uncharted just got pushed back. To
Mighty
May.
Number 9.
Mighty Number 9's been pushed back for what 2-3 years now.
900 years after.
There's a lot of games that are now being
picture.
pushed back to 2017, and I think that's part of it is that they're businesses and they got to get these things done. If there's something really bad, then yes, I understand the need to push it back, but you have to remember these companies have put millions of dollars into this product, and if they don't get it out, it's better for them to send out a partially broken game and recoup some of that money to keep
Let's
going.
not pretend that they're not getting something out of it, though. Because, yes, they're putting millions of dollars into this game, but they're getting multiple $1 million back out of this game as well.
Yeah.
So the developers are the ones that are being put under the gun on this and being forced to release these games that
By the
perhaps they
publishers.
know are not exactly at quality assurance. But then you have the bigger publishers, like, let's just throw out a name, Activision, that is maybe trying to churn out games on a more regular basis, and because of that, this is what happens. And it's kind of frustrating because I'm sure the developers are equally as embarrassed about these releases as the general public is. You think the Assassin's Creed Unity guys that worked on that for fucking years weren't super, super pissed off when they realized just how broken things were because they didn't get the time to finish it right?
Yeah.
So, yes, in a sense, day one patches, if you fucked everything up and you have to fix it, awesome. But at the same time, let's give developers enough time so they don't have to do that. So that way the game is just ready to go from the get-go.
You're always going to have greedy businessmen running these, though. The publishers. I mean, that's.
But they were businessmen running this in the 80s and the 90s when Crash Bandicoot and when Banjo-Kazooie and the games that you grew up with and that you loved, there was no bugs or glitches that needed a day one patch in those. Why? Because they had enough time to finish it. Nintendo is actually fucking brilliant for not having to do day one patches because they really round up their game and test the shit out of it before they release it.
Yeah.
Takes forever.
Except for
but they
Mario
do it.
Tennis.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, ignoring that.
But
there's a difference between the level of, I guess, quality assurance that goes into a Nintendo first-party title versus a Sony.
And it comes to brand. It comes to how much consumers are willing to accept. I mean, at this point, if let's use Nintendo. Nintendo back in the day, you had to go through Nintendo to put anything on their console, and I think they still kind of are like that.
Yeah.
Not nearly as tight as they used to be, but they still are. They still got a close grip on what their quality is. And it comes down to that this reflects on Nintendo. So this hurts their console sales. This hurts their business.
Yeah.
And I think for somebody like Activision or some EA that publishes, they publish
Their
like 20,
business
30,
is safe
30
even if the game is shit.
yeah,
Like,
they'll send it out. Cool. If that game sucked, they got another one coming out later on, and they're in the business of volume more than they are for quality, which sucks as a gamer.
But it also sucks because the publisher takes the hit, not the studio.
Yeah.
So if you are looking at a game that's been rushed out for whatever reason, the person that's going to get the blame for, let's again to use it, Assassin's Creed Unity. Yes, Ubisoft gets a certain level of blame, but also you're thinking that studio is no longer proficient at their job.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this misdirected anger towards the developer studios that should be put towards the publishers that are forcing this product out in a broken state to make more money faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
why it angers me.
That makes sense.
I'm not arguing with that at all because yeah, I agree. I mean, it's dumb, but it's the business mentality of cool. So here's an example. We have this half-broken game. We spent $200 million. If we release it now, we know for a fact we'll make $250 million. Maybe we have bugs that we saw. We need to push it back 3 months. That 3 months, we have to put another $50 million into that game. Well, now we're going to break even. We're not going to make a profit.
Yep.
So it's that kind of juggling act of, hey, we know we're going to make the money off this because obviously businesses are in the business of making money.
Yep.
That's just what
That
it comes
makes
down
sense,
to.
yeah.
So it's one of those things where you got to weigh the pros and cons. I agree as a gamer, it sucks, but from a business perspective, which I tend to think a lot because I grew up in a very business-oriented family,
That makes sense.
that's why. Because Mighty Number 9, I guarantee they didn't want to push that back 2 years. Like, they found something that's completely effed up in that game that they can't fix.
That's also
and it's costing a lot of money.
It's a smaller made game, so there's less pressure on them to release
there's still a lot of money that they're hemorrhaging now.
But I think you have to vote with your wallet, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to basically say, I'm not going to pre-order this until I'm sure that this is a complete game. And I think that's all it boils down to. Now, this is personal for me, but you know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's worth voting with your wallet? Do you think you should not pre-order games until they start getting a handle on this day one patch thing? Yeah. Or do you like day one patches? Do you think that it's a boon for the business in some way?
Yeah, do you think they enhance the game? I mean, who knows? Who knows?
You know what came out well with on day one? Dark Souls 3.
It had a patch, didn't it?
I had to get it in there somewhere.
It had a patch. So.
If you're talking about like an eye patch.
Anyway, yeah, let us know in the comments below as to what you feel about day one patches or you know, pre-ordering in general, and we would love to hear your thoughts.
Yes,
we would.
So, if you guys have a topic you want us to cover in a couch conversation, leave that below as well, because we sit here and we're like, what could we talk about today? So let us know about that as well. But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, welcome to the second level. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed what you just saw. If you have some ideas on other games that we should play, make sure that you comment below. We might listen to that, we might not. It's a gamble. You know what you could do though? Hit subscribe and see if we choose your game.